Acharya ji, you often explain that climate change also affects flight safety.
Yes, because a plane directly relies on air for its thrust. It's the air that creates the pressure which allows the plane to lift off, otherwise it would fall. And how much thrust the air gives to the plane depends on the density of the air. So, the design of an aircraft is based on a specific air density, right? And air density varies with temperature. So if the temperature rises, the density will decrease. Planes are not even designed to fly in such low air density, and an enormous amount of thrust is required, especially during takeoff. And if it's extremely hot, the air becomes thinner, less dense. When it becomes less dense, the plane doesn't get the amount of thrust it needs. Not only that, if the air density drops, the engine also doesn't receive enough oxygen for combustion. So the flight takes a double hit. First, the wings don't get enough lift from below. And second, the engine doesn't get sufficient oxygen. That's why the plane is unable to reach the required altitude. As a result, it creates a risk for the flight. Many times, during peak summers, especially in hot regions like the Middle East, Dubai, and even in Delhi, India, pilots have to extend the takeoff. And sometimes they even have to abort takeoff attempts. Why does the takeoff need to be longer? Because higher velocity is required for takeoff due to lower air density. And why is the air density low? Because the temperature has risen due to climate change. You've studied Bernoulli's theorem, right? It explains that half rho v square plus rho g h plus p is equal to constant. In that equation, p is the density. So if the density decreases and you want to maintain the same pressure, then you'll have to increase the velocity, right? And to increase the velocity, you need a longer runway. But such long runways aren't always available. And sometimes miscalculations can also happen. So climate change is definitely an emerging and serious threat to flight safety.
So Acharya ji, the recent incident that happened in Ahmedabad.
An Air India plane crashed in Ahmedabad, carrying 133 passengers. No, we can't say anything about that yet. Only when it's the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, what's commonly called the black box. Once all of that is recovered, only then will we know what actually happened. Right now, no assumptions or guesses can be made about it. But in principle, climate change is a threat to flight safety. Not just during takeoff. Even when the flight reaches higher altitudes, the turbulence in the upper layers can cause the aircraft to shake violently. Like that recent Srinagar flight, where the nose cone, all that happens due to turbulence. So what exactly happened in this tragic accident will only be known after the investigation. But in general, climate change is definitely a major aviation risk.